Chapter 4. Divinity.
All parts of the universe lose their identity when they become something else. But God can be all things without losing its identity, forever knowing who it is. Do you think the universe has a dead end? Just trust. To a child we say that the drawing is very good when, in fact, it is despicable. We defend the child because it's a child. And that's why we lie. Remember? We never stopped being children in the eyes of the universe. Just trust. When we are children and live without worries, we don't notice that it's because parents take care of us. What will it be like when we discover that someone takes care of us as adult humans? Just trust. To be one with everything, with the whole, with the universe, you're going to have to trust. As we do to a person we care about, to whom we nurture and desire, we trust. Trust all processes, of which we are discovering distrust. When putting into doubt, I am obliged to work the confidence in me. So, if I trust me as much as I have confidence in everything, I will have something in common with everything. There is nothing more efficient, for the purpose of getting closer to the point of being one, than trust. Absolute infinity is completely dedicated to what it has created. God has no ego, so it surrenders to all causes. Yes, I know, I just contradicted myself. And there is so much more to contradict me with. Notice. When the wind blows, God blows wind, too. When you are sad, God saddens you. When you are happy, God rejoices you. But not because God feels some kind of empathy for you, but because you're one and the same thing. The slave practices self-control. The ruler renders allegiance to power. The beggar is a master of survival. The wealthy is inattentive in perspective. The patient is cured by hope. The doctor never gets sick on good terms. The mystic is bewitched by the mystery. The sage looks like an arrogant. The enlightened one is clumsy in social customs. Demons do not starve in misfortunes. Angels have few friends. And even a demigod suffers because he is immortal. But what is an immortal without conflict? It is God, which is paradox, which is unity and the rest. Once upon a time, John had an orange, an apple and a peach. He has never eaten oranges, apples and peaches before. He sees that the orange, the apple and the peach have different shapes and colors. He smells that the orange, the apple and the peach have different scents. He eats the orange and then the apple, and he feels they taste different. He concludes that, because peaches have a different shape, color and smell, that the flavor will also be different. But he's not sure. Once upon a time, there was John, the cat Phineas and the parakeet Spike. Consciousness is like the taste of fruit. Let's imagine an object in which every second it randomly metamorphizes into a different shape, and this randomness in shape never repeats itself. After each transformation, it tries to fit into a hole with a certain format. For long enough, if necessary approaching infinity, there will be a moment when the piece will fit into the hole. Let's imagine, now, that consciousness arises, observes and notices, watches carefully, how everything fits together perfectly in each other, in the universe, in nature. That's, in fact, what we do. We sometimes refer to these phenomena as being the manifestation of some kind of intentional intelligence, but not human. Still, a rational entity. On the other hand, from a different perspective, what we often don't recognize is that there were a lot of random attempts and many previous spontaneous bids, until there was a fit. That is, the connection, the on purpose. There is no half and switch on this property, in this condominium of being. The fit is perfect because it's fully realized, for the connection once established is experiential. And what experiential is? The advent of consciousness comes, precisely, of the piece that fits perfectly, and recognizes itself like a switch. I emphasize, connection. Consciousness exists because of the order of things, and consciousness only recognizes the order of things because that's where it came from. Similarly, the fish that needs water to live, for the reason it emerged from it. That said, where is God, that no one finds? God hides behind the void. That's where no one goes looking. If I make up a story about a human being experiencing God, I'm just allowed to devise a story with miracles and supernatural powers. If I make up a story about a little bird having the experience of God, no one favors the story where it remains a cute little bird singing beautiful melodies whenever it feels like. What's the best way for God not to be discovered? It's us doubting that we are God. Oh, what a shame, everyone tells me I am wrong. I tell me. What is the best way for God to hide? It's by making no one believe you're such an entity. The same happens with mentalities. What is the best way for an idea to cease to exist? It's by making people not believe in it, so that you do not include it as part of yourself. The particular idea that is God, is what I try to foster. And, that no one believes in me, is obvious to notice. If God was visible, we would not see anything but God in sight. Therefore, by remaining invisible, everything is created. Ignorance of God is the ego in us. It was the only truly genuine choice. God was good when he chose to be ignorant, thus, it gave us the feeling of being free. God, by choosing to be ignorant, allowed itself to form all things. It's not a mistake when I say, allowed itself to form all things. It takes the role of the paper, and the role of the pencil. With this mechanism, it conserves itself in infinity. Otherwise, things would have no description. The sun was the god of the ancestral communities, once we entered the agricultural era. Afterwards, the perfect man was the copy of God on earth, because we entered the era of social hierarchy. Then, it was the union of all the forces of nature, fire, wind and water. And the industrial age was entered. The human being, without delay, became the reflection of its mechanizations. This is the technological paradigm. Now God is for the vast majority, the surprise against boredom and monotony. To the question, do you believe in God? They reply, I believe that there is something beyond what we know, because it cannot end like this, with what we are, and what we have. All this to say, that God grows old with us. Human beings aren't more special than the other animals. Not because we elevate animals at the level of humanity, this is not possible, because we are different. But for descending humanity, at the level of irrational animals. This is possible, because we have intellect. The fog dissipates in the sun, phenomenon that we explain with science. An ant picks up crumbs and we say it's instinct. A cat licks the paw, which recognizes its annoyance. A man looks at his reflection. Oh! This one is aware. How suspicious is the man by taking the podium? The fog, the ant and the cat proclaim, let us glorify them. Mankind is the greatest. There is not, nor will there be a monopoly of consciousness. Woe to the one who knows how to see his reflection not in a mirror. He deserves death by laughter, and if he survives, he will laugh himself to death. Everything comes from God. But everything we do in our existences are sacrifices of offerings to God. Paradox. Precisely for this, that everything comes from God. It's not what we have, but what we enjoy that constitutes our abundance, the abundance of God, the child's abundance. The child with capital C.
Thank you for listening to the end. Support this work if you liked it. You can buy the book on Amazon, where you can download the digital copy and have the physical book delivered to your address. Look for seasonal promotions and discounts.